Cyber traders, good afternoon and welcome on back here. I just ended up closing out a poll question just asked all of our students inside our live trading room just now. So great to see all of them there. Had Kathleen just before, Brian later right now, Michael just before with a nice trade on WBA. We'll check that out in just a moment. Nice short from him. And Chuck before, just talking to him a moment ago, and Ray and all of our students, members alike. Great to have all of us back there and all of us back on social media. If perhaps you're there as well, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. As always, be a friend, tell a friend. Make sure that you folks like and subscribe right to our YouTube and social media streams at Cyber Trading U. We look forward to seeing you inside our live trading room just momentarily, though. So for all of our new members there, actually, might I say, not our students, perhaps like Michael, Leda, etc. You folks certainly know, but any of our new trial members joining us from the past couple of events, webinars, last few days that we've been here. Well, as a new trial member joining us, just right away, Fausto will hammer this point home tomorrow morning, likely. Last thing that you want to be doing is trading what we are calling out, because you don't know why we're calling it out. And certainly, unless if you are an experienced day trader of equities, of stocks, and you know what I mean when I say that, right? If you're like a swing trader for 15 years before joining CTU here, it's a different sport. We don't want you to lose money, right? So as a new trial member joining us, it is just best to observe, kind of take a step back and listen and just see if this is for you. Now, we've had a great day thus far, even with the market tanking. This is like my favorite type of day because it goes to show, again, with the market dropping the way it did earlier, there's plenty of stocks that we could follow on the way up. And not only that, obviously, we're following the ETF UVXY, which actually trades inverse to the market. Chuck was all over that earlier today, and that was a great trade in itself. AMC. We're going to start off with what's on the screen here, at least, though. How could we not? I'd asked the poll question just before, asking, hey, what stocks are you trading right now, folks? And, transparently enough, the majority of us that answered at least wrote, I'm not in a trade right now. There's nothing I'm in right now actively. And that's normal. That's expected. Right now, this time of the day, we're not really that trigger happy normally. Well, if there's an opportunity out there and we're scanning for it, Rich and myself, namely, right? We want to steer the ship in a good direction to where there's a good chance to catch a move. Well, if there's something that we find that looks really attractive, then we'll call it out. And myself, obviously, if I'm on a coaching call with a few students throughout the morning, afternoon, then there are things that I'll look to take myself. So, just before earlier, myself and a couple of our students, Dan and one more before, we were following AMC, right? So across the late morning, early afternoon, the AMC trade ended up making a strong breakout. I have a crap ton of lines here, so bear with me here for a moment. Basically, this dashed blue 1055, that was the big level throughout this week that we've been, keeping a real eye on. So that's where I jumped in initially on my position. It broke over the opening print from this morning later on, which led to a much better play running up towards like 11-ish almost on this trade. I'll show Bookmap, I'll show level 4. But my big resistance, my target on this trade is 1173. And if you were following me on AMC throughout last week into this week, you know that we were head on with our iceberg levels on this trade. Ran up towards 986 earlier this week, head on high of the day. It was perfect level to level. Well, I'll show Bookmap, and it shows it there. Big iceberg on the ask at 1173. But right now, at least, it just pulled back a little bit as the market dropped off, but has really regained its support. So just a moment ago, I was asking our students, hey, if you end up jumping in the AMC trade, you're looking pretty good. For students, I think like Kathleen, maybe Brad, and a couple more just that had answered AMC. We were looking for support to hold off of 1060, really 1064, but I did write 1060. So I was trying to jump the gun a little earlier and happy it paid off at least. But, I was looking for one more move up. We got it. And now at this point, more now than ever, I think there's a good chance to see that 1173. So here we are. It's about 140,000 share sell order out there. Right there, 1173, point blank, right? Now, you figure it's out there all day. So given how long it's out there, it's got to be out there for a reason, right? Right? I feel like we all agree with that sentiment. Well, you'd like to figure even more so if that same order is out there from yesterday. We knew that this order was out there from yesterday. We were calling it out yesterday. I remember this like the back of my hand. So, the more this goes up here and the more it makes a higher low later on and tries to go back up, how could you not think that this is in play? So absolutely 100,000%, we're going to put AMC on our watch list here for the afternoon. Hey, if you were not jumping into trades mid-afternoon during crap lunchtime, as we normally nickname it, I don't blame you. Don't blame me whatsoever at all. Like, hey, there's plenty of action left. Hopefully you could jump in on this AMC trade with us here. But really quick, for all of us in the Cyber Group room, you may have answered the poll question, but I didn't see the name-by-name results here in front of me. So if you are in on AMC, just type letter Y in the chat board right there. Currently or actively in right now on this AMC trade. Just give me a quick little chat back right now. There's a couple more that we'll go through. It's not just AMC that's pumping up right now. We've had a great morning. We'll get to all the morning runners that we had from earlier today, but another little bounce up on Tupperware. Hey, if it's not AMC, it could be Tupperware here. It called out a potential move off of 255 just before, looking for a bounce back up from there. We're going to see if this could try and go higher too. Did well yesterday, did well actually back on Tuesday this week to begin. And once again now, it hasn't made a higher high just yet. This move up right now looks pretty healthy. I like that. I'll jump back to level 4. I think Mike, if I'm not mistaken, Michael D, were you in on this trade, the Tupperware? I think that you'd wrote back on that. Looking good. Hey, it's made a really nice bounce so far. So if you're in from like the VWAP price long or from 255, that's a really nice entry. Looking pretty good here. So see if this runs up higher. You have your next resistance at 275, $3 from there. There's some order pulled here on the ask at 365. No guarantees, but it was out there for a good portion of the morning. Makes you wonder why, right? So with that, 365 could potentially be a huge level on this trade later today if the stars align very well. Definitely with AMC, I'm going to put Tupperware on our watch list. All right. So we had those two going right now. Actually, on top of that, we got one more. How's it looking? Crashed back down one more time here. The damn LL trade, lumber liquidators, basically, right? So, we were hopeful for this to make a higher high, and it was looking really strong just before, holding over and re-breaking over $4.20. And we're looking for the move up there. It just snapped right back down, though. It actually pulled all the way back down towards, I believe, what that is, the opening bell print level there, basically off of 403. That was my first entry level on this trade today. So it pulled back there, but even with this bounce, I don't like the shake. So I was actually going to come to this, and I was looking forward to seeing this break higher and saying, oh, yeah, this too, we're going to put this on our watch list also. I'm not fully committed to this just yet. This is a nasty shake back down off of that last peak. If it ain't breaking higher, there's only one other way it's going to go. So not a big fan of this drop off right now on lumber if you're looking for a long. All right, so let's see what we can grab here, at least heading into the market close. Michael Short, I'd be getting out on that. That thing is looking pretty healthy on the way up there, my friend. Hopefully you have a tight stop set. Seco here. I mean, hey, hopefully no one was short on this trade earlier today. This is a total casino stock, much like the TPST trade. This was up like God knows how much percent early in pre-market this morning. It was shaking, rattling, rolling all over pre-market. At the open, obviously, you see this thing just crashed and burned. Obviously, easy to say that would be a nice looking short trade if anyone was able to get the shares, but that's not what we look to do here. I mean, we short, don't get me wrong, but these small cap stocks, we're either looking for the bounce, the breakout on the run up, or otherwise we just move on from it once it dumps back down. Something like OPGN here, even as we continue, this thing was a nightmare stock later on. It was pretty crazy even after. Or even as it ran up, it got halted probably like 8 or 10 times going up. Yeah, come on. I mean, you can't really look to trade that stock just given for every time it reopened up, it got halted again. There was barely any room for you to try and figure out support resistance. So it's either you jump in recklessly, aimlessly, and hope, which is not what we do. Or you move on. You move on to another stock. You just don't let it be noise and a distraction, right? So, hey, we're calling it out. We're hoping to trade it. But if it's something that you find that it's just very intimidating to trade, or something that you just don't see as high reward or just too high risk otherwise, there's another trade out there. Check in with AMC, check in with Tupperware, check in with the other trades out there. So, same with this as we said on Seco. It's like a gamble stock right now. Same with this VS. It was a cheapy stock this morning. Pop and drop stock, though. This thing was all over the map. Went from 50 cents up to $1, back down to 50 cents, back up to $1.30. That's nuts. And, I got to tell you, I mean, it's not as if I had this in mind for any specific stock, because you never know. If anyone says they know, they don't, unless if they have insider information. But it's just to say that after what we saw with TPST, yesterday, you got to figure there's going to be at least some other stupid stock out there the next couple of days that's up 400%, 800%. You go back on this meeting, I said that yesterday. Obviously we had no idea what stock that would be, but after yesterday's move on TPST, it definitely gets traders incentivized, especially those in a larger group or a larger money group that can move a stock. Say, all right, well, hey, what's the next trade that we could pump up 1,000% or whatever the hell it is? So it gets us excited because we follow the big money, right? We're not trying to jump the gun. We're not trying to assume. Funny quote here, actually, from a show I grew up with, as a kid. On sick days, watch this show, and a guy would say, you know what happens when you make an assumption, right? Well, you make an ass out of yourself, and then the ump will shun you right out the door. It's a silly quote, right? But it always stuck with me after. And when it comes to trading, I kind of feel the same way. You never want to jump the gun. You never want to assume. Oftentimes, when you assume, you kind of look like an ass. And then the ump will shun you out the door. So let's see what we could at least get here. Otherwise, if there's really not a pop and drop stock, but a stock that's worth our time on the way up, looking good. This was looking good until it wasn't. It's a buyout. Not looking good, this BSQR. We move on from this. And this is on our side list. We'd come back to this at the end either way. It's still shaking back down a bit. PRZO had a nice pop earlier. I forgot about that. I mean, even in pre-market and then after the open, this one kind of flew under the radar a little bit afterwards. And even with the drop-off it had, it's actually bouncing back up pretty nicely here. It's, a nice volatile stock. I'm going to put this on our side list. I'll come back to this at the end with the lumber trade. No problem coming back to the PRZO if I need to. All right, what else we got here? We got a bunch of crap, I feel like, otherwise on the gainer side. For all the real moves that we ended up capturing earlier today, there were a bunch of lower volume stocks that flew under the radar. You just got to try and skim over them when you can. So with the market dropping off as much as we had, of course, you had UVXY, right? That was something I did reference earlier to, in the meeting. Market dropped off. This ran up really well. So this in particular, I'll just kind of add to our list here right now. It makes the cut, UVXY. If we got another drop off on the SPY, this should look to break back over 16. So, for right now, I don't mind slipping the UVXY on there. There it is on the gainer side, up over or nearly 6%. There's Michael's WBA. He had a short on this just before. Looks like it paid off pretty nicely. And just, if it was around the highs or like a little over 24. All right, what else we got here, folks? Let me know if there's anything else looking good on the way up. This stock, Fastenal, came off earnings. I remember that. Goes to show, folks, you never want to buy a company just because earnings came out, because take one look at Delta. Delta popped in pre-market. Yeah, it's sell-off at the open, just likely for people that traded the options pre-earnings. But after that, this thing just kept going, just kept dumping off, especially with the market dumping off in the early afternoon. All right, so we got 3 stocks. Actually, we got 2 stocks and an ETF on our main list, right? UVXY is not a stock, it's an ETF. So if you have Bookmap, then definitely you should look to try and trade it. But if you don't got Bookmap, probably going to find an easier time following AMC or Tupperware. Tupperware at like 261 right now. So I think that's going to look to make a nice pump higher soon. I wouldn't bet against the call-outs we're making here, right, folks? PMVP dropping off. This thing, I would not look to long right now. This thing's dropping off very steadily. This would be a great short here heading into the afternoon, especially if it's breaking all-time lows, which it is. There we go. It's actually easy to borrow from me on TradeStation. Just double check if you're on TAS or IB, Fidelity, if you can get the shares to short this thing. PMVP. That's what it is. PMVP. Don't know what news came out, but this thing got clobbered mid-afternoon. Actually, you know what? That's actually a pretty fast spike down. So I got a little time on my hands here. Let's actually check the news out on this PMVP. Why not? It's MVP. Okay, PMVP. There we go. Dyslexia, you know. PMV Pharmaceuticals updated phase 1 data. A whole bunch of stuff above my pay grade. No, I'm just trying to read if they didn't meet primary endpoint or whatever it is. It doesn't even say that in the title, but this is the real headline behind it here. And it did come out, most importantly, 12:32 p.m. So this stock got clobbered right here when the news came out. Just interesting to see. So yeah, right now I'm going to look for a short on this stock, but if it ends up failing to break lower from this point at least and builds higher lows, or if there's a large order on the bid that pops up as support, it's down 40%. I think that it could drop more before we look for that dead cat bounce. But if it ain't breaking lower, then maybe you could look for that squeeze back up. All right, here we go. Let's see what else we can grab here on our watch list here on the loser side right now. A few stocks at the lows here. Shortable. Right, this RVNC stock, not too bad, breaking multi-year lows actually from last week into this week. Oh yeah, all-time lows this is actually at right now. So I like it actually right now. That just sold me into putting this on our main list. It looks like just, it could use a little bit more volume, but it's got a decent spread, tight spread, which we appreciate. Got two stocks at all-time lows today. RVNC and PMVP. Probably more than two, but just those are at least tradable, good enough, at least I feel, for us to follow. Yeah, so I'll tell you what, I don't see any other named stocks, like known stocks that we tend to follow day to day on the loser side. If there's anything else, folks, looking good, just let me know here in the chat board. Got a coaching call at 3 p.m. with one of our students, one of our, I'll say level 4, level 5 students, we'll say, and our student Alex P. We're going to crush it, hopefully, on one of these trades here into the close. Question on lumber. There is a serious buyout for LL. Would that not support the price and prevent a big drop off? If the buyout, if the rumor is real, then perhaps so, Sam. Just if that's the case, at least, then that certainly strengthens the case for a run up. Or if you're hoping for that news to be true, then perhaps you do a swing on it. And once the news comes out, see a nice big fat gap up and looking pretty good, right? But at least for myself on lumber, as we just jump back to our side list here with lumber liquidators, it's not back over that 420 level just yet. So as far as a day trade for us into the close, not fully committed to this just yet. But, by the time Rich is on the mic at 3 o'clock in 10, 12, 15 minutes from right now, if nothing from the main list is looking good and this is starting to perk back up to 420, there's a chance, right? There's a chance. Weight Watchers, not a bad short, Mike. Not a bad short itself. This one dropped off quite a bit back from yesterday, right? At that big resistance, it broke over, it pulled back under it. Yeah, so it's more or less to say if you're able to get that short from that 1206 price, 1210-ish price that we had there, looking phenomenal. I could add this to our list. I really can. There could be more room on the way down. Just I feel like unless if the markets really pull back, it kind of seems like it's like at its next little support here. These peaks here back from like a week or two ago, 1139, 1142-ish, just kind of right there. I see a little doji on the daily chart there also. I see that there. I could slip this on the bottom of our list right now, Mike. Wouldn't be bad. Roku, for a more expensive ticker, obviously that's dropping off pretty nicely as well from Rod. So if you're short already on that, if you bought puts on that already, then I am rooting you on because that is a nice trade on the way down too. No harm with Roku either. Let's see if there's something like going against the grain though, like trying to make a nice pop going up, right? Tupperware on our list already, still just kind of holding here. So I'd rather see it bust over 260 sooner than later and keep this train going on the way up. And for AMC, still looking pretty nice here. Just dropped off a little bit, but as long as it doesn't pull back under 1080, I think that we're in good shape. Just jump back to Benzinga Pro, see if there's anything on the way up, namely that we missed. BYSI, looking like it's making a pop right now. So check that one out. BYSI. Not bad looking. The only issue, and you know what I'm going to say on this, when you look at the order book, it looks really thin on the buy side. So it already moved up from $1-ish, even less, but up towards $1.25, and then back down to $1.25 pullback, moved back up 20 cents here. This thing is damn volatile. So I hope the order book fills in even more on this trade, but for right now, this definitely makes our list. BYSI. Just a couple last ones here at the end just to wrap up. I figure I'd do my due diligence and just kind of skim through. None of these looking really that great, so I'm going to pass on all of these actually. On the loser side of Benzinga Scan, you actually got lift on the way down, but a little slow poke of a stock, so I'm not really too tempted to follow that. I'd actually rather follow like that Weight Watchers or Roku. So I think that we're going to call it for right now, folks. Just jumping back to our side list here at the tail end. LL, it's trying, I guess, right? It's trying to get back up to that 420. You know what? When it comes to saving room for one or two more, that's where I jump back to our side list. I don't mind now slipping this back on the very bottom. And then PRZO on the other side of things doesn't look like it. Not so much. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up here for the meantime on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. At the horn here. Vincent, my apologies, my friend. I'm just catching the chat right now. Just a few minutes ago, one of our members here routinely on Facebook, Vincent, asking about the OPGN. There we go. That thing's a nightmare. That thing's been a nightmare stock after the drop off. So, it's kind of interesting, right? We kind of consider ourselves like 5-year-olds at times because we always like to ask the question, why, right? Oh, like, why is this iceberg order out here for the last 2 days straight, right? Why? Well, it's got to be out there for a reason. In terms of being like a 5-year-old, another good example of that is, well, once we're done with one toy, we drop it to the ground, we pick up another toy and start playing with it, Vincent. We are done with this toy. We've dropped this toy hours ago. We moved on to new toys since. It's a good way to kind of phrase it, right? You don't want to get stuck holding on to a trade, especially something that's overextended like OPGN. You just, again, take a look at TPST, down 59% today from yesterday's close. I can't imagine anyone being that surprised by that, just given how much it ran up, but seemed to be said for, any of those stocks up like 100%, 400%, 800. The crazier, the more they go up, the harder they're going to fall, right? All right. So, hey, for Vincent, for all of us on YouTube, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, etc. Hey, if you're interested in joining us inside our live trading room, just scan that QR code. If you're fancy with your phone, fancy with your camera, scan that QR code on the top left, get you access to our live trading room for a week. But otherwise, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me over a quick email myself, josh@ctutrading.com. I tried addressing an email that came in last night. I tried addressing an email that in our live trading room earlier. I'm going to have to get back to the member. It sent over a book report. It sent over a long-winded email. And I find it incredibly disrespectful for me to write back with like just one sentence or like 5 words, right? I find that just super but I don't have the time to write back that lengthy. So I tried going through that email actually just for all of us collectively inside our live trading room. So I will say, hey, if you have a longer question to ask, I would suggest to join us inside our live trading room. You could private chat me. You could instant message me right there all throughout the day. And for all of our students there, you certainly know John, Rod, Michael, Sam, Bell, Jiff, Danny, Mario, Joyce, all of us here in chat right now. Folks certainly know I'm always accessible here to answer any and all questions, but through email, definitely, any trades that you got as a student, send it over. As a trial member, any quickies that you got, definitely let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. But best of luck trading going into the market close for all of us here live. Rich will be on the mic just in about 5 or 6 minutes.